Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the next podcast, Laughing on the Inside. And the reason I called it that was because I find a lot of things that are really funny, in my opinion, and I'd like to laugh, but laughing out loud at certain situations and certain people would probably not be appropriate. So I save that all on the inside. And then I let it out here. I have to watch these shorts. I love these shorts. These shorts are pretty awesome. But if I spread too far or go too wide, you're going to see right up into my ball sack. And I don't think anybody really needs to see that. As you know, I like to talk about things that are on my mind. Things that churn my butter. Things that boil my eggs. Things that get me heated and angry. And arguing about those things on the internet isn't really helping, because nobody cares. You will never change anybody's mind or opinion on the internet. You won't. There'll be a lot of back and forth, and after about the second comment, all you're going to be doing is insulting the other person. You're an idiot. No, you're an idiot. No, you're the bigger idiot because of this. No, you're a fucking moron because of this. That's just the way the internet works. So you're never going to change anybody's mind there. So I say those things on the inside and decide to talk about them on here for your benefit and mine. And the thing I've seen all week is people, especially white people, talking about the inevitable race war. Oh, scary. Apparently there's a whole group of people who believe that it's inevitable, which means that there is no choice in the matter. It's absolutely 100% going to happen, that we are going to get into a race war. Now, these people don't specifically say who we're getting into this race war with, but I assume they mean black people. I assume that because white people have had kind of a history of oppressing black people. And by the way, this is not a political statement, but Black Lives Matter is not something to be afraid of. It's not something to fear. It's not something to reject. They're not saying Black Lives Matter more than white people. They're not saying Black Lives Matter above anybody else. But until they're included in this conversation, until their lives are respected as much as white people, they have a very valid point. I just want to bring that up so nobody is confused, because there's a lot of confusion about that. People say, oh, Black Lives Matter, and then some white dude says, no, all lives matter. Oh yeah, but until you can start including those black lives into the conversation, then all lives really don't matter. I mean, I'll admit I've had some experiences that I can share where I can verify this. Like I back in the United States, when I had my factory job, I drove back and forth every day, blah, blah, blah. It was an older car. It was an Oldsmobile. very white person car. And it was a mess. I got to tell you, it was a mess. Like I had a window that I had to duct tape up because the electronic motor that made it go up and down went out. So in the winter, when it's very cold, I would just push it up and duct tape it to make sure it stayed up. The passenger seat was filled with loads and loads of like fast food bags and half-eaten hamburgers and French fries and everything else. It was a mess. It was a real mess. And in the back seat the back seat was filled with things that I just, when I moved, I didn't feel like bringing into my apartment ever. One of those things where you say, oh yeah, I'm going to do it one day. Then you forget about it over and over and over. And it just becomes like okay, those things are still there. Maybe one more day. Something like that. And I never took care of them. I never brought them in. But there was a lot of shit in my old car. And one night, going into work, I worked the third shift. And if you don't know, that's from 11 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the morning. I was driving to work and I got pulled over by the police. And I was like, oh no, I don't know what's going to happen here. He came up to my car. He asked me to roll down the window. Although I didn't have to do this because I had an electronic thingy, right, on that side. That side worked. Phew. Hello. And they always ask the same question, do you know why I pulled you over? And most of the time, no. No, I don't. Unless it's something obvious, like was I speeding, going the wrong way? I wasn't doing any of that. So I had to say, no, I don't. And then he stuck his head in just a little bit, into my car and said, I think I smell weed. Now we all know what that means. That's a word for like, oh, you are in a lot of trouble now. We're going to find some weed. And this is way before weed was even legal in my state. Oh, we found some weed. We're going to pull you out. We're going to arrest you. You're in a lot of trouble, mister. He said, I smell some weed. But here's the thing, and this is actually all true. I hadn't smoked weed at that point for almost 20 years, 25 years. And I'd only had that car a little bit over a year at that point. And I was like, I don't smoke weed. There's no weed in here. Now remember, like my passenger side is filled with cups and half-eaten burgers and half-eaten French fry bags and all that. My backseat is filled with shit that I haven't put in my house. Lots of things that could have been hiding any number of things, right? But I was like, no, I don't. And I actually explained to him. I explained to him very nice. I said, hey, man, I haven't smoked weed in like 25 years. I don't know where you're getting that smell from, but hey, if you want to search through my vehicle, I will get out, and you can feel free to do whatever you have to do. Call in the dogs. I don't care, because I know I'm innocent. And he looked at me and said, driver's license and proof of insurance and registration. Reached over in my glove box, pulled out the little packet I had with all that shit. Here you go. And he said, stay right here, I'll be right back. He went back to his car, and I'm thinking, oh man, I'm gonna have to get out. I'm gonna have to have somebody search through all this shit in the back. They're probably gonna find all my weird porn and be freaked out by that, you know. I was never worried about drugs though, because I just wasn't into it. A few minutes later he came back and he said, I'm going to give you a fix-it ticket. And in Michigan that means there was something mechanically wrong with your vehicle. And they're going to give you a ticket. You have to pay some money for that ticket in addition to proving that you fixed what was wrong with it. And in this case, in Michigan, you have the license plate in the back, and there are little lights on the cars, and both of those lights have to work and illuminate the license plate. And one of those was out. That's why he pulled me over. Eventually, I found that out. And I said, okay, thank you. And then I drove away, and he drove away. No further incident. But if you think about it, if you were a black person in that same situation with the same messy car in the same place where anything could be hidden in the back seat or in the passenger seat or with the duct tape holding up one window and the police coming up and saying, I smell weed, that could have ended very, very poorly. And so yeah, there is a certain privilege, which is my whole point of this, is to say that people discount Black Lives Matter as some extreme organization, and I'm like, it's not extreme. Something we should have done so many years ago. It doesn't matter. Equal rights. All right? That's my opinion anyway. But I don't think if there is a race war, it's going to be black against white. The way it's going now, it looks like it's going to be white people against Asian people. And I have to tell you, as a white man, to my fellow white people that are watching, we are going to lose horribly if that's the case. Horribly. Because planning something like that takes a lot of coordination, it takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of mathematical situations to do right. And all the white people in 2016 during Trump's inauguration, they looked at pictures and said, oh, look, there's 4 million people there. And there was really only like 300,000. Now, both of those numbers are big, 300,000, 4 million. But there's a vast difference between those. There's no way there was 4 million people there. Absolutely no way. Like somebody miscalculated by a lot. And I think that's where it's all going to come down to who wins and who doesn't, because we'll have the white people, I'm assuming in the South somewhere, Alabama maybe, and they'll be in their trailer park. And by the way, I'm not disparaging Southern people at all. I love your barbecue. Absolutely delicious. I love your sense of community, and I love how on your days off you like to drive trucks through mud puddles and swamps as entertainment. All the while you have a 45-year-old bleach blonde white woman in the passenger seat. She's flashing her tits to any camera she sees, hoping to get on a reality TV show, maybe the real lives of the double wide or whatever you want to call it. I love that. This is not disparaging to you, but let's face it, if it's going to start, it's going to start there. And you'll have a guy at the first meeting, he'll stand up in a mullet. He has a mullet and a megaphone made out of toilet paper rolls. And he'll say, all right, looking out over the crowd, I see we have 500 people here. But in reality, there's only going to be like 20. It's only going to be like 20 people there. Maybe he's counting the babies in the trailer park, because a lot of babies in trailer parks, and if you add them all up, maybe then there's 500. I don't know. But they're going to get that number wrong right from the beginning, and that is not going to bode well for the white people. On the other end of town, you're going to have the Asian people, and some Asian guy is going to stand up, and he's going to look out over the crowd and go, "Hey, we have 1,351 people here." Like exact. Of course, he might be off, and another Asian dude will stand up and say, "Oh, 1,352 people here." Oh, now the first guy's got to kill himself because he shamed his entire clan. I don't know how that works, but oh, you know, they take that very seriously, and I think they would be better adapted right from the beginning for some kind of race war. And by the way, I didn't mean to sound racist, because I don't see how telling someone you're good at math is racist. Considering all the other stereotypes of Asians, like all Asian men have small dicks, you know, or oh, Asian women, they can't drive, stay out of the way. Oh, but then telling someone, "Hey, I think you're really good at math," I kind of find that as a compliment, not an insult. Or I mean, you know, when people are trying to figure out problems, sometimes they say something like, you'll always hear the one guy, he'll say, "Okay, I did the math and blah blah blah," and I never trust that guy if he's not Asian. I don't care how much you did the math, Brad. I don't trust you. And I don't think that's racist, because that's the only way I got through high school. I had an Asian friend sitting next to me, and he was always right. So when I was taking math, that's how I passed all my exams. Thank you, Vu Tran, just in case you're listening. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I don't see any reason to talk about this whole, yeah, there's going to be a race war, there's going to be this and this. I think there's enough sensible people on every side of that fence to realize that we're not, or that we shouldn't be judged by the color of our skin or anything else, right? It should be about our character. Martin Luther King Jr., he said that, right? And we have to agree with that. We have to, because otherwise, what are we, man? We're just people living in a bubble, trying to hang out with with just a certain kind of people. Like you have to agree with me in everything I say. You have to be the same color as me. You have to. We put all these restrictions on who we want to hang out with, and that's just not right. Well, that's all I have to say tonight. I hope you guys have a good night, and check out all my stuff down below. I think you'll like it, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. And by the way, my balls itch. I don't know why. I'm just not sure. But at least you didn't have to look at them. Later. You want to say goodbye? Say goodbye. Say goodbye. Goodbye. All right. Weirdo.
No.
Later.